talk about CMS and the Blackstone deal. How did that deal happen, and what sort of triggered the need for it?
Well, you know, I was a corporate person for a long time.
You were with Microsoft earlier, and?
A decade. And I moved to private equity middle of 2006.
With who in private equity?
Actis.
Actis.
You know, Actis is a mid-market, emerging market specialist. They focus only in emerging markets. My job in Redmond with Microsoft was emerging markets. So I sort of saw some little linkages. But 2006 private equity was hot. At Microsoft, I had achieved what I wanted to. So I wanted to get out and do something different. PE sounded very, very exciting. And I said, this is a chance. I was maybe 35 or 36. A chance to learn a new sector. And so I decided to take that plunge. Also, it was moving to London, and I always was keen to live in Europe for some time.
Okay.
And for when I left India, I had this whole thing. I'll do my whatever darshan and get back in 4 to 5 years. I always had to work here. I couldn't see myself doing something else for long.
But why did you want to do a global darshan?
You know, to learn. When I was working at Microsoft, I moved up the ladder pretty quickly, which meant I sacrificed a lot of learning outside India. So I was sort of, stuck doing different roles here, and I really couldn't get out and learn different markets, learn from different people. So going to the corporate side at HO, I used to tell people, is my Sena Bhavan shift. I said I was like the Siachen brigadier. India was like that, right? It's a branch office at the best. We did a lot of work here, but it's 3% of revenue, so you have to go to where the core is. So I said, let me go to do my Sena Bhavan shift, and then decide where life takes you from there. I did a lot of work in emerging markets. So I really got passionate about Brazil, South Africa. So Actis sounded like a very linear move.
Yeah.
You are at a different level, but you are still in the same markets. You're looking at a cross-section of companies. And you've been inside one of the best technology firms this whole century has seen.
You started CMS all by yourself?
No. It was started by Mr. Grover in 1976. So it's a mid-sized firm. It's 34, 35 years old.
You made a move into CMS as a private equity player.
That's true.
And then eventually became the man.
We did the diligence. We did the deal. We took control. So it was a three-way relationship. Blackstone, the family, and me. I think we are sort of joined at the hip, trying to say, how do we take this firm to the next level? As part of that diligence, I got excited and said, I'm willing to take this on full time and not just as a board member or something. So I sort of became a partner with both the shareholders, and I did almost 9 months of diligence. So I sort of thought I knew enough about the company, and then came in full time.
So tell me a little bit about CMS, because in India the fabric of technology companies goes from just being a BPO plain Jane onwards to real value providers.
Sure.
Where in the spectrum does CMS sit?
So CMS, to just give you a little more color, it started as a technology services firm focusing on IT infrastructure. So they manage IT infra for any large company. Take it a Citibank or take it a State Bank of India, take an LIC, they will be managing their data centers to their devices.
Yeah.
Over these years, based on customers telling the CMS management at that time, we would like you to do this service and that, they branched out into many different service lines. So today, the company has 6 different businesses.
Okay.
The 2 largest is the IT business, which was started in 75. And 12 years back, they started a business around cash management, where they basically looked after all the ATMs in the country. So that today is the largest business of CMS. So it's no longer...
When you say largest, how big is it?
I think our market share is upwards of 50%. So we are 50-55%.
And who are your competitors?
Multinational firms like Brinks and domestic firms like Writers. So I think the 3 largest firms are CMS, Brinks, Writers.
On ATM management.
On the ATM management side. And so we roughly are grossing about 1,000 crore turnover now. And half of that comes from cash management, and half of it comes from IT services.
Yeah. So cash management, how much of a technology element does cash management have in this? I mean, does it really have?
It does. Yeah. So the whole ATM value chain, if you think of it, starts from a switch and the whole monitoring of the ATM, which is totally technology. Then boils down to doing cash forecasting. How much does this ATM consume on an average daily basis, because you want to fill it appropriately and you don't want to have extra cash or less cash.
Are you one of the companies that our viewers would probably see have trucks with grills on them, carrying cash and checking ATMs for ensuring it has enough supply of money for a withdrawal?
Yeah, absolutely. So we run the largest fleet. We have combined now almost a fleet of 2,500 armored vehicles around the country. I think about 300 towns. So, and I think the total number of ATMs we cover is about 40,000. So wow. 40,000 ATMs.
How did you join Microsoft?
So I was at ITC, right? Fairly happy, great place. I was a marketeer, so ITC is a wonderful place for a marketeer.
And what were you marketing for them?
First I was a management trainee, and then I found my way into, they had an IT business where I was a branch head for them, and they used to sell some high-end software technology. And I think at that time what happened, this is what at least the headhunter tells me, that I was causing enough grief to a couple of the large multinationals, which was Oracle and Microsoft. Microsoft, Oracle were still very small companies. They're very niche. I don't think anybody used to buy software in India, right? Because this is the time people said, what is software? Yeah. Let alone, why should I buy it? I sort of, I had a computer science background. And when these technology firms came calling, it sounded very interesting to take a job which was linked to what you had studied in some way. Both the brands weren't big. They weren't like what we think of them now. Just trying to sell software sounded exciting because I thought it's a new nascent industry. Not many people know about it. I always enjoy far more when something is nascent and small and unknown rather than when it's big and mature and slow. Because the excitement, the growth, the learnings and challenges, I think, is there.
And is that what then made you move away from Microsoft after leading it?
It got very big and large, and large firms do tend to get bureaucratic. I was clear on the technology side, I wouldn't work for any competitor because I had worked for one of the best companies around. And I said, let me do some new industry. It's one life, try and do different industries. CMS is that, right? We have 4 or 5 different businesses. Cash managers got nothing to do with my prior life. But you use the principles you've done in those businesses, and then I think you use common sense.
So you were going to tell me why the company chose to be a diversified one. So we know cash management. We know that you're into security of IT infrastructure from a BlackBerry to whatever else that companies may want to use.
Right.
Why have so many pieces to a brand as you've chosen to have?
In part, it's legacy, right? That's how the company got formed. And they did it because their large clients wanted them to solve another problem. And our former promoter, I think, was enterprising enough to sort of latch on and say, we are the large client and they have a business problem. If I can solve it for them, I can solve it for others. So I think different businesses start cropping up. The good thing about our different businesses is that most of them converge at the customer level. Our largest customers are banks, are insurance, then telecom. Since we have come in, I've tried to get us to focus a lot more on the public sector. Central government, PSUs, not so much the state governments. Just to make sure that we have a diversified vertical. So it's also, growth. In India, I sort of experienced this in 97, 98 when we were trying to sell software. And the biggest issue at that time wasn't so much price. It was price for sure. Software is expensive, but it was also about distribution. Somebody in Chandigarh wanted to buy software would have to travel to Delhi to buy a box and take it back, which is ludicrous. So we sort of spent millions of dollars at that time bringing in international distributors into the country so that you could buy software anytime, anywhere at the same price. So it took a lot of time. CMS, I think, has built up a very unique asset over the last decade in reach. They have 30,000 people today across 1,500 towns with our own offices in 200 cities. So
that's 30,000 a large number for a company like yours?
In India, I think it's a very large number if you're focusing on services. So we don't do manufacturing, right? We don't build any product. We don't have factories. We have, just service people around. And this is not a software factory where we are doing outsourcing for the US.
Okay.
So for our cash business and our IT business, a large number of people.